When I walk up to the instrument and play Scheherazade Movement 3, it sounds like this. And when I just walk up and play Movement 4, it sounds like this. But after I self-record, after the magic happens, then Movement 3 sounds like this. And Movement 4 sounds like this. My power is not just being able to walk up to the instrument and something good comes out. Something only medium comes out, right? My power is in the process that I use to get it from here to there. I'm not so much of a master percussionist. I feel like I'm more of a master practicer or a master problem solver. I don't always choose to use this power, but that's another story. Self-recording is where you learn to problem solve and become a master practicer. So most people show up to an audition and have really never faced the problems within their excerpts. They've never really heard what they sound like, so they don't know what kind of experience the audition judges are going to have when they're listening, and then they get confused when they get cut. Through the structure of self-recording, you're going to force yourself to face your problems and also to find solutions to those problems. If you stick with it, you'll end up building a whole web of tools and strategies to solve whatever imprecisions there are in your playing. And you'll also learn to polish your excerpts to such an extremely high level that you may never have thought you would be capable of. This is part of a series of videos I'm making called The Complete Guide to Self-Recording. I showed you the overview of self-recording in video 1 and all the gear and setup tips in video 2. If you haven't watched those, go back and check them out first. This video is about the nuts and bolts of the process. So I'm going to show you how to effectively self-record step by step. So remember from part 1, we talked about the self-recording workflow. This is the process that you're going to go through over and over. So play, listen, problem solve, and repeat. And let's dig into each one separately. So step 1 of self-recording is to play, right? You turn on the recorder, your brain instructs your hands to play, and your hands respond. And when you play a passage, you can affect the way that it sounds by adjusting that instruction from your brain. And it's this tool of the instruction that you're going to use to adjust and improve how your excerpt sounds. If you tell yourself right before you play your excerpt, like, be loose, make it fun, play like you're smiling, then your playing is going to come out a different way. If you have a problem with the lengths of the rests, you might experiment by changing what subdivision you're thinking in your head while you play. You might try to think eighth notes instead of quarter notes. When you're doing self-recording, you can think of the first playthrough as your default version. You use a certain kind of technique, like my grip on the sticks, how much arm I'm using, a certain phrasing and tone comes out, your default pre-excerpt routine, and your mental script through the excerpt, whatever that happens to be. Wait, what's a pre-excerpt routine and mental script? Well, my pre-excerpt routine is the short list of things that I think about right before I play. I might think about wiggling the sticks, then I might think about a certain U2 song to get the tempo, then I think of a scene of a movie that has the right emotion or atmosphere, and then I play. My mental script is what I'm actually thinking about in my head while I play. I got this term from Noah Kageyama, but of course everyone has thoughts while they play. So, I mean, in percussion, you have 3 things going on when you play. Your left hand, your right hand, and your mind is going through its set of thoughts. We're going to come back to this part later, but that's the playing step. This first time you play, just play, and then next time around, you're going to be trying to find or brainstorm a new instruction to insert inside of the pre-excerpt routine or the mental script, in order to, change the excerpt and play again. Step 2 of self-recording is to listen. So after you play, press stop on your recorder and listen back. Remember, the point of self-recording is that you're separating the actions of playing and listening so you can fully focus on listening. So really listen. You might select a section and loop it and listen repeatedly. You could slow a section down to 50% tempo. You want to really figure out what's going on here so that you have a chance of solving it. So one thing you can do is to use the audition rubric to make sure that you're not missing anything. The audition rubric is a list of musical elements that the audition committee is listening for. Literally like a teacher would use a rubric when they're grading, and an audition juror might use this rubric, whether conscious or not, when they are considering whether to vote for you. So I actually made an audition rubric on paper that I can share with you. It's part of the self-recording workbook, and you can download that at robnopper.com/self-recording. The workbook also has detailed step-by-step instructions for self-recording, including more in depth than I go in this video, a gear guide, the audition cheat sheet, and then also this audition rubric. I actually keep my audition rubric on my music stand while I'm practicing so that I remember what not to forget. My instinct is to focus on things like time and rhythm, but I need something to remind myself to think about other things like character and phrasing and style. That's just me. So when you're listening, really zoom in and figure out what's actually going on specifically. If that first 7-note run of Don Juan sounds unstable somehow, slow it down and really figure out, is one note longer than the others? Is one note louder or scratchier in the middle of that run? Write everything that you hear down, and then take your written list of problems and go to step 3. Step 3 of self-recording is problem solving. And this step is about brainstorming a solution that might work. In the listening step, you diagnosed what was wrong with your excerpt right now, and the magic tool that you can use is that instruction that we talked about, meaning what your brain instructs your hands to do right before you play. Remember? A tweak to the list of steps in your pre-excerpt routine or in your mental script while playing. For instance, you might listen to a passage and say, my 16ths are uneven, so let's try making my left hand lift off the head faster. Or, the tone gets scratchy here, so imagine a smooth pane of glass on a brand new car. Whatever. Anything could work, and you never know what's going to solve the problem. It's like looking for keys that are lost in your house. It's always the last place you look. Sometimes the answer can be totally creative and full of imagination, and sometimes it's just something logistical, like push down more with your middle finger or something. You will find the answer if you're persistent and you keep looking. Each time you go through this workflow of play, listen, problem solve, the whole point is to try a new possible solution and see what happens. Step 4 of self-recording is to repeat. In the first 3 steps, you played, you listened back, you found a problem and you brainstormed a solution. And here's where you test your solution. So go back to step 1, turn on the recording device and think about this instruction that you're giving yourself. Lifting the left hand, imagining a smooth pane of glass, changing your underlying subdivision. Whatever it is you think might solve the problem, try it. So play it in the new way, step 1. Listen back, step 2, and see if your instructions solved the problem. Did it work? Then write down the solution. Did it not work? Then think of a new possible instruction, step 3, and then try it again. Your list of solutions is precious. It's something that you can take with you to tomorrow so that you don't lose the positive, improvements that you made. Once you think you solved everything, then look at your audition rubric again. You'll probably be able to find a few more problems. Keep fixing things until you feel like you really can't hear anything else to do. Make sure to write down anything that you might forget tomorrow. Assume that you're going to forget it unless you write it down. The goal is to be able to quickly read a short list of these most effective instructions right before you play and just play it straight up and nail it. You're going to go through this workflow, play, listen, problem solve, repeat, over and over, and solve every problem you can possibly find until your excerpt sounds like an amazing little polished gem. It needs to be uncuttable, like when the committee listens to you, they should find nothing, that's a red flag or something like that. All right, so that's the step-by-step process of self-recording. If you want to look at my in-depth instructions on self-recording at home, plus links to all the gear and other information, you can download the self-recording workbook that I made at robnopper.com/self-recording. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.